Internal family systems. Each of us has one, but we use it to varying degrees based on our personality and past experiences. This can be a therapeutic approach to integrate our personality and our different opinions into one. The idea of parts refers to the sub-personalities within each person. These are not different entities, but rather sub-personalities within our psyche. Our thoughts control our everyday decisions, thoughts, personality, and actions. Internal family systems suggest that the mind is not singular, but rather composed of various parts. Each has its own unique perspective and role. The concept of parts in IFS is a theoretical framework used to understand and explore the internal dynamics of your mind. But it's not meant to be taken literally, as in you have distinct different personalities within your mind. Today we're going to be discussing our parts, why they're there, and why this therapeutic approach can help us better understand ourselves. Things such as personality, life experiences, coping mechanisms, and psychological predispositions can influence how individuals perceive and interact with their internal world. For some people, these parts might be readily apparent and obvious, while for others, you might have to explore a little bit to understand where they're present. Managers often take a protective role. They don't want you to experience vulnerability or pain. Your manager might manifest as perfectionism, rigidity, and critical self-talk. The purpose of the manager is to maintain control within the individual. Their goal is to help you not feel pain or distress. If you consider yourself to be a perfectionist, your manager part might be very prevalent. For example, you try to plan or manage every aspect of your life down to a T. Your manager part might have impossibly high standards for itself at work or home, constantly striving for perfection to ward off criticism and failure. But it can also be a manifestation of your inner critic, if you're harsh, critical, or judgmental towards yourself or others. The inner critic often stems from internalized beliefs, expectations, or standards that the manager imposes on the individual as a means of protection. Managers are driven by a deep-seated fear of vulnerability, failure, rejection, or abandonment. In IFS therapy, your goal is to understand and develop a relationship with this part to understand where it's coming from. When the manager's effort fails, the firefighter comes in. When emotions or traumas threaten to overwhelm the individual, this part might respond by engaging in impulsive or distracting behaviors such as substance abuse, binge eating, or SH in an attempt to put out this emotional fire. This is why a lot of people with EDs or substance abuse might describe this part of them as a different person. It's like they're telling me that I should use, but I really don't want to. Your firefighter part really isn't trying to hurt you, although it can end up doing so. Its real goal is to provide immediate relief from distress. Firefighters operate as an emergency response system within the psyche. When painful emotions or traumatic memories surface, firefighters quickly intervene to distract, numb, or suppress the distressing feelings. This can lead us to turn to maladaptive coping skills as a means to immediately make ourselves feel better, although in the long term, obviously, they make things worse. For example, if you struggle with binge eating, you might feel good temporarily in this moment, but really it is harmful for you in the outcome. You might engage in behaviors like SH and have lifelong consequences, but really in the moment you just wanted to feel better. You might even engage in risk-taking or thrill-seeking behaviors. You might engage in reckless driving, extreme sports, or other dangerous activities to provide an adrenaline rush and temporarily alleviate negative feelings. Everybody might have a DOC, if you will. It's not even a DOC, it's just a OC. For some people it might be shopping. For others, it might be sexual promiscuity, workaholism, or you might socially withdraw or isolate. In IFS therapy, your goal is to understand why the firefighter feels the need to put out this emotional fire. Where does it root from? Are there healthier coping mechanisms that you can use to alleviate this pain? Firefighters might also use avoidance or dissociation as a means of escaping. They may disconnect from reality, detaching from their emotions, or engage in fantasy as a way of coping with overwhelming experiences. This can lead to a cycle of dysfunction where you perpetuate this avoidance and coping. Exiles are your part that carry emotional wounds and traumatic memories. The exile is often pushed away by managers and firefighters as a means of not feeling these emotions. But when the exiles are triggered, they can cause intense emotional distress. Your exile might come out, for example, if you have dealt with neglect in your childhood and now you're an adult and you perceive this neglect, it might feel like you are back in your childhood in that exact state. You might be flooded with intense feelings of unworthiness and inadequacy, causing you to withdraw and isolate yourself. Exiles hold unresolved emotions such as sadness, fear, shame, or anger. These emotions might be too painful or overwhelming for the individual to face directly, so they are relegated to the innermost recesses of the psyche. These memories are often fragmented or dissociated from your memory. This might make it difficult for you to access or process these emotions fully. Your exile is very vulnerable and fragile. They represent the wounded aspect of yourself that feels abandoned, rejected, or unloved. This part feels genuinely at its core that you are unworthy and undeserving. Although I should mention that everyone has a different relationship with each part and they can be expressed very differently for each person. In IFS therapy, the goal is to integrate this part into yourself and have it understand that it is indeed worthy. The goal is to facilitate healing and integration of exiled parts and creating a safe and nurturing environment for them to express themselves and be witnessed with compassion and empathy. In time, you might be able to process these inner wounds, allowing for healing and integration. Lastly, you have yourself, and this part of yourself is considered your core. This is your essence, the true nature of who you are. The self is characterized by qualities such as compassion, curiosity, calmness, and clarity. It serves as a center of wisdom and healing within the internal family system. For example, if your firefighter part is trying to tell you, you should do this maladaptive behavior, you're kind of like, I don't think that's a good idea, but then you end up doing it anyway, but it's your core telling you that you shouldn't be doing it. Your core self embodies unconditional love, acceptance, and empathy towards oneself and others. As you build more of a relationship with your core self, you might be able to get through life better without turning to these maladaptive skills. You might be driven by your core values rather than the different agenda that your different parts might have. The goal is not to eliminate or suppress parts, but rather to facilitate communication, understanding, and harmony among them. For a lot of us dealing with these maladaptive behaviors, we might be like, I hate myself, I don't understand why I do this, but the goal is to have compassion for yourself. This can be a great start to healing because, for example, say you're a smoker because of your firefighter part. Maybe you're not quite ready to completely quit, but you understand that this part is really just trying to protect me. When you're studying IFS in therapy, the goal is to cultivate mindfulness and self-awareness through practices such as meditation, journaling, or body scanning. By paying attention to thoughts, emotions, sensations, and behaviors, you might begin to notice patterns and identify reoccurring themes or voices within yourself. You might even be encouraged to engage in dialogue with these different parts. This might involve asking yourself, what can I do for you right now? What am I feeling? What do you need from me? Some people might even externalize or personify their parts to better understand them by giving them names. They might even have personalities or visual representation. This encourages you to describe each part in detail, including its appearance, voice, age, and the role within the internal system. This can make it easier for clients to recognize and differentiate between different parts. You might even be prompted to do something like mapping or creating a family tree for these parts. This can illustrate the relationship and interactions between various parts. You might even be asked to do guided imagery and visualization. This exercise can help you explore the internal landscape and connect with different parts of yourself. You might create a safe and comfortable place within your mind where you invite these parts to come forward and make themselves known. Journaling can also be helpful to articulate your inner experiences. You might write freely about your thoughts, feelings, emotions, and fantasies, and notice any reoccurring themes or patterns that emerge. Some people might even utilize role play by using techniques to help clients embody and express different parts of themselves. themselves, encouraging them to physically enact the movements, gestures, and expressions associated with each part, and notice how it feels to embody these different aspects of your psyche. By using these techniques, you might gain insight into your internal dynamics and understand the different and various parts of your psyche. This awareness lays the foundation for further self-exploration and gradual integration. I will say that IFS is very different from actually having different parts within yourself, as in dissociative identity disorder. DID develops as a result of severe childhood trauma. You might switch between different identity states involuntarily, which can hinder your everyday experiences. Although IFS can be very helpful for individuals with different trauma disorders such as DID. Inner harmony begins with understanding yourself and why you do the things that you do, even if you might not like them at first. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe, turn the bell on if you're feeling risky, and comment below if you have ever studied IFS therapy and how it has helped you. If not, has this video helped you to kind of be like, oh, well, this aspect of my life is definitely my firefighter part? Make sure to comment because it helps with the algorithm. Also, thank you so much to each and every one of my Manatee members. I appreciate the support ever so much. Thank you so much for believing in my efforts on this channel. And to everyone, be nice to each other, have a good day, night, whatever the case may be, and peace out.